Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the incredible life story of a man who needs no introduction, but whose journey is more complex and inspiring than many realize. We're talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. From a football field to the wrestling ring, and now to the pinnacle of Hollywood, his path is a masterclass in resilience, hard work, and reinvention. But it wasn't always bright lights and blockbuster movies. Long before he was the highest-paid actor in the world, Dwayne Douglas Johnson, born on May 2, 1972 in Hayward, California, was just a kid with a very unusual upbringing. He came from a legendary wrestling dynasty. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a trailblazing professional wrestler, and his maternal grandfather, Peter Maivia, was also a wrestling icon. Wrestling was in his blood, but it also meant a life constantly on the move. The family moved frequently, living in places from New Zealand to Hawaii to Pennsylvania. This constant uprooting was tough. Dwayne has spoken about how difficult it was to always be the new kid, trying to fit in, and how it often led to fights and getting into trouble. Despite his wrestling lineage, Dwayne's first dream wasn't the squared circle. It was the gridiron. He was a phenomenal athlete in high school, and his talent on the football field earned him a full scholarship to the University of Miami, a powerhouse of college football. He played defensive tackle for the Miami Hurricanes and was part of the 1991 national championship team. He had a real shot at the NFL, dreaming of making it big. But life, as it often does, threw a massive curveball. A series of serious injuries sidelined him, ultimately crushing his NFL aspirations. He went undrafted. He briefly signed with the Calgary Stampeders in the Canadian Football League, but was cut from the team just 2 months into the season. This was his rock bottom. He's famously told the story of flying back home to his parents' small apartment in Tampa with only $7 in his pocket. $7. That was everything he had to his name. He looked in the mirror and realized his dream was over. He was 23 years old, and he felt like a complete failure. He fell into a deep depression, a battle he has been courageously open about in recent years. It was a dark, uncertain time. He didn't know what his next move would be, or if he even had one. But in that moment of despair, a new path began to form. He made a pivotal decision. He would follow in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. He would step into the world of professional wrestling. His father was initially hesitant, knowing how grueling the life was, but eventually agreed to train him. Dwayne poured all the discipline and work ethic he'd learned from football into this new craft. He started in smaller promotions, learning the ropes, living out of his car, and wrestling in flea markets and used car dealerships for $40 a match. In 1996, he got his big break, signing with the World Wrestling Federation, now the WWE. They initially billed him as Rocky Maivia, a clean-cut, smiling good guy, combining the names of his father and grandfather. The company pushed him hard, but the fans weren't buying it. They saw him as a corporate creation, lacking authenticity. The cheers they expected turned into boos. Chants of "Die, Rocky, die" echoed through arenas. It was brutal. Another major setback. His character was failing, but once again, adversity became his greatest opportunity. Following an injury, he returned to the WWE, not as the smiling hero, but as something entirely new. He turned heel, becoming a villain. He dropped the Rocky Maivia name and began referring to himself in the third person as The Rock. He was arrogant, charismatic, and incredibly witty. He developed his signature catchphrases like, "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?" and "Lay the smack down," and the iconic people's eyebrow. Suddenly, the same crowds that booed him were hanging on his every word. He had found his voice, and in doing so, he became the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. The Rock's charisma was undeniable, and it wasn't long before Hollywood noticed. His first major role was as the Scorpion King in 2001's The Mummy Returns. The movie was a huge success, and it led to his first leading role in the spin-off, The Scorpion King, for which he was paid $5.5 million, a record for a first-time lead actor. The transition wasn't easy, though. He had to prove he was more than just a wrestler. Early in his acting career, he was advised to lose muscle, stop talking about wrestling, and even stop calling himself The Rock. For a while, he tried to fit the traditional Hollywood mold. But just like in wrestling, he realized his greatest strength was his authenticity. He decided to just be himself. He embraced his physique, his background, and his nickname. He leaned into who he was, and that's when his career truly exploded. He found his sweet spot in action comedy, with hits like The Game Plan, Central Intelligence, and the Jumanji franchise. He also became a vital part of the massive Fast and Furious saga, elevating the franchise to new global heights with his portrayal of Luke Hobbs. But his success isn't just on screen. He's also a brilliant businessman. In 2012, he and his business partner Danny Garcia co-founded $7 Productions, named after that moment of hitting rock bottom. The production company has been behind many of his biggest films and TV shows, like HBO's Ballers and the competition series The Titan Games. He gives himself control over his own projects, building his own brand from the ground up. He also has a successful partnership with Under Armour for his Project Rock apparel line, and he launched his own brand of tequila, Terramana, which has become one of the fastest-growing spirits brands in history. Through all this incredible success, what's most remarkable about Dwayne Johnson is his relentless positivity and his connection with his fans. His social media is a constant stream of motivation, workout videos, cheat meals, and genuine gratitude. He calls himself the hardest worker in the room, and he lives that motto every single day, often waking up before 4 a.m. to train. He uses his platform to talk about mental health, sharing his own struggles with depression to let people know they're not alone, and that it's okay to ask for help. He reminds us that it's okay to fail, as long as you get back up. From $7 in his pocket to becoming a global icon, Dwayne Johnson's story is the ultimate testament to the power of resilience. It teaches us that our lowest moments don't have to define us. They can be the very foundation upon which we build our greatest successes. He failed at his first dream, was rejected by fans in his second career, and was told to change who he was in his third. But at every turn, he chose to learn, adapt, and bet on himself. His journey shows that with an unbreakable work ethic and the courage to be authentic, you can overcome any obstacle and redefine what's possible. Thank you so much for watching. What's your favorite rock movie or moment? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more like it, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.